Love and marriage go together like a carabao and trike. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. Love and marriage, it's a life you can't get rid of. Ask the local Filipinos here, and they will say his elementary. Try to separate them. It's an illusion. Try, and you will only come to this conclusion. I love and marriage go together like a carabao and trike. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. Life isn't easy with Heidi, American wife, so uptight. George tries, but sometimes cries, but they love each other. You cannot deny married life like no other. Love and marriage go together like a carabao and trike. This I
Oh man, that's got to be my favorite part. Oh my god, look at my hair. Actually, believe it or not, I brushed my hair twice today. Ding. Actually, probably been 3 times. I did it twice before the live. Oh, rat. Why don't we just leave this up? Maybe we can just do the alfalfa thing. I don't know what it is about getting old and bad hair. Guess at least I have some hair. All right, guys. I don't know how obvious it is. My voice is cracked. I'm sitting here sucking on something besides George. Good morning. Good morning. I thought I would start this early. We weren't actually going to do a live. George is at the family house. He's got a full day with his uncle. Most of Saturdays he's doing something. But in light that I'm sick, I thought I would use this time to say I am sick and what I suffer from and different things. And that I will be going over different things, answer what I can, be quite honest on what's going on, like with me. And, a lot of people keep asking, are you insured? Are you stupid for coming without any insurance? Are you self-pay? Where are you going? How often? And just going to be honest about how I get my medicines. Sometimes it's through scripts directly from the doctor, and other times I can just walk into the pharmacy. It depends on the city you're at here in the Philippines. So, let's see. I'm going to cover part of Medicare that I can't just canceled because I've paid close to 11,000 US dollars into it for the last 5+ years. And I haven't used it. You couldn't use it in Mexico, couldn't use it here. And there's some people that'll claim that they get reimbursed, but I don't know anybody. I think them are just lies. So, and I know on people that try to use insurance, depending on the insurance that you get. We work with Michael Onstad and do a lot of referrals to Michael Onstad. He's on Facebook. He is in the description. That I know right now, for the most part, I'm uninsurable. And depending on how George's physicals come, he might even be uninsurable. Now, they'll always find some policy to put you on, but I don't know. It's hard after the age of 40, and a lot of us have pre-existing conditions. So, but that'll be the discussion. We're subscribed to Monty Crew out of Dumageddon, part of Old Dog New Tricks friends and family over there. And he's got cancer, and he's had reconstruction of his face. Like, he's gotten really hit hard. He opened up a GoFundMe and everything. And me and George discussed that. And it was like, he's really, really been sick a lot here lately. And it also makes you start thinking about things. He's got a young daughter. I know he's got family, or previous family and kids in the US that are adults. But that's the whole discussion. We'll discuss the whole thing. Are you going to open up a GoFundMe to get help like a lot of expats? Are you going to have family? Did you guys bring a couple 100,000 to start covering medical in the end? Are these guys dying at home by themselves? That's another thing, is being alone without a caretaker. Like I told George, I get help from George. I'm very lucky on that. But besides that, I do most everything. And when I woke up the other night and I was sick, I was pretty much stuck by myself doing everything in the bathroom. I was very extremely sick. And as a matter of fact, he didn't even hear me on the other side of the house. So he's like, if I'd have heard you, I'd have come and helped you. But um, yeah, so I'll wait a little bit because I'm starting early, and usually the room will build up after people see it come through. Um, but that's what's going on. And Pigsy's feeling better. Hey, Pigsy. Pigsy, our cat, she picked up on some flu, something going on. She didn't end up with the respiratory that killed a cat outside a few weeks ago. But she was sick. She's just been laying around sleeping for about a week, but she's eating and everything. But yesterday we heard a kitten cry, and George says, "Don't you do it? Don't you go outside?" And I'm already sick. I'm running out in the rain looking for this cat. Poor cat was under the car, and one of the trike drivers going by grabbed him. He's super sick. Unfortunately, George said it's probably somebody that lives in the building across the street. When he got sick, they tossed him outside, or somebody dropped him off in the neighborhood, sadly. But sadly, we cannot rescue him. If we picked up every cat on the street and put him into a veterinarian clinic, we'd be flat broke in 2 weeks. So unfortunately, George said, don't even, because the guy was holding on to him in the rain. I said, yeah, we can't. It was bad. Like, he had a bad upper respiratory, looked like half his face was missing, like ants had been eating him. I was so sad. I was so sad. And George says, he goes, we can't infect the colony. I was like, dang, you sound like a video game right now. He said, don't infect the colony. So, yeah. So what is everybody up to? Oh, got my flag here. Thank you again, Ted. He had sent us that Village buy-in box a while back. And we have not hung that up. We don't want it to, things get so dusty and dirty and everything. Where we open up I don't think this is going to help my cause any. Just going to push it up. But, hi, Pigsy. You come to say hi? You want to say hi? She looks all ratty. Look at her looking all ratty. You can always tell when cats are sick. Their fur looks like oil. It gets all. But at least she's eating and stuff. So what is new? And do you guys have like medical plans, or like what do you guys like? What's your plans for medical? Which is a serious, man. I must have like taken all my earrings like out of here. I'm looking for earrings like I need them like a hole in the head. Probably. Let me put on my holy roller earrings. And I do want to talk about, we receive a lot of emails. And I want to thank some of the vloggers that have been contacting us. There's been bigger vloggers lately that have contacted us through email to give their condolences and about George losing his grandmother and his father in a 2-week period. And he's really been going through it. I mean, honestly, I thought his uncle that he's with all the time was the one that was going to pass. And I'm concerned for the family back in the U.S. But speaking of the U.S., when we covered the live yesterday, we did get some side messages from people, discussing basically me tearing down the United States and the Philippines, and I'm nowhere in between. I'm like, you know what? I'm an equal opportunity picker, man. I'm going to say what I got to say for the most part, but I'm not saying I don't like my country. I'm American. And just because I talk like that at this time doesn't mean I can't return, or I'm not. You can't take the American out of me. You can't stop this train. So there was one suggestion, nothing negative, that I may need the United States one day and stop dogging them and different things coming in. Like, well, yeah, I'm well aware if there's a natural disaster here, but what I was trying to relate to people is I'm living here because of the cost of living and because my husband is Filipino and there's like zero chance I would return back even for medical. Hence why I canceled my Medicare. What is that? Is that the whole guy outside? Yeah, it's the guy selling Tahol. But um, yeah, I mean, like I said, over 10,000, and I'm not gonna be able to use it, and I haven't been able to, and they're not gonna bring that crap here like they did. My there we go. Hmm. So, guys, probably wasn't gonna do a live. I'm just trying to still wake up. Because like the last 3, 4, 5 days, me and George will have a couple hours sleep, everything going on in the news, everything going on with family. We had some expats coming in and out of town and just dealing with our own fires we're putting out and stuff. We'll sleep for 3, 4 hours, get up, do our thing. And some days we were barely sleeping. But hello, MB. Good morning. And I'm probably going to be all over the place. Chosen one's like, oh no, save Heidi. No shit, man. I mean, that's bad. Mm. Let me tell you, might as well. I don't care how many people are in the room. People are rewatching. So I started mentioning it yesterday when me and George did the live. Um, I've got an array of medical problems. People are like, why the hell you here? And it's like, cause I'd be sick here and be sick there. My rent is cheap, bitch. That's why. And it's like, I got cheap rent. And um, a lot. I've got, for our regular watchers, they know I've got skin cancer. I've got, actually, I had the gastric bypass, which was initially meant for weight loss, but that was a long time ago. And I did lose all my weight. But with other medical problems, I have SLE lupus, which affects all my organs. I have asthma, I have anemia. Um, I've been on steroids for quite some time, which it's been almost impossible to lose weight, lose a few pounds here and there. But let's see what else. I deal with a lot of things. I mean, all my joints are messed up, need knee replacement from years of standing and being overweight. I'm, of course, overweight. Um, but an array of issues that I collect SSDI and I have for a little bit through Social Security. So I had paid into the system. So I'm allowed to leave the country. And so I'm here collecting Social Security. And then we brought savings. But I did not bring any insurance because before we left and was in Mexico, nobody was going to insure me based on just being overweight. Then you add in, I have lupus and I have sometimes I have like issues with my kidneys. And I have no gallbladder. I had my gallbladder removed a long time ago, which with the gastric bypass and no gallbladder, I'm like, oh, I don't suffer from any of those issues from not having a gallbladder until a few days ago. Um, we had been sent like food from people that are here. George had bought some food. We had ice cream, which is usually almost always George, believe it or not. I like the donuts, but George will have ice cream. He's like, oh, let's have ice cream. Because I was going to make popcorn. I ate that ice cream and it was just too much fat between the ice cream and the chicken and rice we had. Um, my stomach backed up. So basically, all the acid had come up. I guess in reality, sorry guys, I'm gonna keep clearing my throat because the acid ate my throat, is what's going on. I don't have any upper respiratory right now. This is from the acid that ate my throat. I went to the doctor yesterday after the live. So what happened is the bile backed up. Your gallbladder processes a lot of that. I'm just going to go through a breakdown in a nutshell. And I had a lot of acid. So basically, when I was sleeping, the acid came up, which doesn't help with the gastric bypass because part of my intestines are missing. I had the old Roux Y where they did a couple rows of titanium staples. Part of my stomach is missing. I can only eat every couple hours, probably about 2 fistfuls, but then I tend to snack on the wrong things. Hence that I'm a sugar monster. That's why George says I just, you guys be surprised that he definitely eats more meat. I snack on the wrong things, high calorie things, and the steroids has really gotten to me. Anyways, so the bile backed up, and it's nothing but pure yellow acid. By the time it got to my throat, it was coming through my nose. Yeah, here comes the nitty gritty details. When I sat up, it went on the floor. It was horrible. So basically, my body self threw up because there was too much fat and stuff, acid and all that stuff because my gallbladder is gone. And I guess I ate, well, we did eat some peanuts too while we were watching a movie. So it was just too much, but it wasn't like I had a ton of food in my stomach. I just ate a lot of the wrong things. And so then I was in the bathroom. I was trying to get it out of my nose, out of my throat, and I started freaking out. I could not breathe. I was choking, and I thought we were going to have to go to the emergency room. Now, we live within walking distance to a hospital. We go to Clark Medical, but I am calling for George. He just can't hear me. So here comes the part about having this spouse. It was bad. My throat is raw, and I couldn't get it out of my nose. I had milk in the fridge. I started drinking that, and I started drinking ice water. It was bad. I thought I was going to choke to death right there on the spot. And like my life flashed before my eyes, and all I could see was them poor kitties not being fed. I mean, I was thinking about George. But it was scary. That's not the first incident I've had. For those that have watched, I actually had an incident where I had a nosebleed due to the lupus. My platelets dropped. The white platelet count did something, and the nosebleed started. I shouldn't have waited beyond, really, I forgot what the time frame. If it doesn't stop within, I think they said 15, 20 minutes, I should have came in. I waited an entire day. So I had 20 washcloths full of blood. My clothes were soaked. It was all over the floor. It was profuse. No matter what I did, I was choking. Like my back of my throat was blood clots. I'm going to be a little graphic here today. And that's when I thought I was going to die. And it seems like yesterday. So I'm off in the time frame. What was that, about a year and a half ago? A year. Um, and that was pretty scary. But George's brother's a doctor. He had got us some medicine that stopped the bleeding. So I was scared to go to the doctors. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to get into somebody's car bleeding like that. And I didn't want to depend on the ambulances, depending on where you live in the Philippines. It's not like the US where you just call up and go. And so I was unsure at that time of using the local hospital that is right up the street versus Clark. So I just sat here in front of George bleeding out. And I was like, oh, it looks like it's my time situation. And then I dislocated my arm. All that was within a 2-year period. I was outside, went to go step outside, and the steps are made of like a ceramic tile, but it's super slippery. And at my size, I'm a plus size girl. Still can buy my clothes at Walmart size. I am not 600 pounds or 500 pounds per rumor, but I'm big. I own it. I went to go grab onto something and totally pulled my arm out of place. The bone was like sticking up, dislocated totally. I could not get up. I could get up if my arm wasn't dislocated. So I had to call out for my neighbor. I sat out in the rain for about a half hour with no help. George was at his family's house, and that was scary. So I came inside and I had to wait for him to take me. I could not even wait the hour it took him to get here. And I put my arm back in place. I literally slammed it. The pain, but you ever had pain so bad you're willing to sew yourself up situation or pull your own tooth situation? Been there, done that. And you can bet and believe I pulled a tooth before when I was out in the Ozarks. Not even kidding. It was that bad. And same thing, dislocated arm. And at first I tried to dangle it like hanging over the edge of the bed. And I tried to do it. I figured if I kept rotating and doing something, kept going like that, it would put it back in place. No, sir. So the other part is I just slammed. I just went against the wall. And I still have where it's sore here and at the elbow. Took forever to heal from this. So that's my story. And I am uninsured. I am self pay. One minor, not minor, minor we can afford at the hospitals. Long term, kind of like Monty Crew and Dumagetti would do us in. It's just where it's going to be. And I'm sure Monty had planned for X amount, but it could happen to me in the US. I understand I would have the insurance paying for those things, but there's still only so much paid through Medicare if you don't have the supplements. And depending on what it is, could cause an issue. But it is a risk that I knew I was going to take when I actually got here. So, and then George is another issue. And today we're talking about other worst nightmares because it's not only medical, it's mental issues. So there's been times I told you guys that as a kid and still am, ADHD, hard to focus and all that. People get depression here. People get high anxiety. And, that'll be part of the discussion too today. Is a lot of people don't discuss this. And yeah, I know that chosen one. Send donuts. No, I told George, I tested George the other day after that, the next morning. I said, can we get donuts? And he says, I don't know. He says, no. He goes, he started thinking of it. No. And so I said, no, we're going to get back to where we was because we've been off since his dad passed away. And that's another thing is that I got hit with multiple payments on my insurance that we did have. And so it's like, I was like, okay, so I kind of kicked back on buying extra stuff and some of the healthy food. And I fell off the bandwagon probably the last 6 to 8 weeks. I had started to let the junk food back in, or when I was sick, then I couldn't cook situation. And it's not easy. Being broke, sometimes you ain't eating out all the time. And if you're sick, it's easier to order and they don't always have the healthiest choices, when it comes to ordering. And I can't send George out for street food because my God, that will kill me. Good morning, Kay Dallas. What is going on? Let's see. I feel like I'm off here. Could just be Mike. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hey, Clifford is in the house. Hi, Peter. Hey. Right. That's the answer. I have George. That's what I actually have. Let me bring my boy in so we can. There, you can see him in there. I guess it's where we arrange the desk here because um for those that know me also is we have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in this house. And with my medical conditions, probably by about noon, 1 o'clock, I have zero energy. Like I can barely lift my arms situation sometimes. So between just me being old and creaky, even George has a hard time going up and down those stairs. Most of my living space is down here. So we keep like business desk down here where we do the live streams. We have beds upstairs, and sometimes we sleep down here because the AC's down here. So depending on the weather, and so I do not actually go up. So we arrange a lot of things throughout the day while we're down here, and I got all this out of place. But we're going to start doing more. We did discuss doing more and more of just our everyday life again. We'd slow down on doing that, but oh, come on, cat. Hey, what'd you do? Ah, they're tearing things up in there. Hey, what's going on, Black Grandpa? I need to get refocused. Chico is in the house. What is going on? This live is about expats getting sick in the Philippines. Yes. Wouldn't the smart thing to do would be go back to the US? No. No, Mark. The answer is no. First off, not everybody is privileged to have tons of money and people that you can go live with while this happens And you can ask other expats why they don't when they get sick, like Monty Crew or something. We moved 5 years ago. My husband is a Filipino citizen. He is not a dual citizen. And under no circumstance would I take my husband and go back to the US at all with the way immigration's going. And there's just no way. There's just no possible way I would risk anything like that. So, even over my own health. And even if it wasn't for that, I'm not going to go back and lay down deposits first, last month, electricity, buy a car and go through all that and waste what little money I have left just to get some medical care because I don't need it on a daily basis and it's already taken care of here by either monthly visits or every couple months visits. It's not like I need dialysis and what I'm doing here is actually what I'd be doing back there. As a matter of fact, I was sicker back there because they had me on about 20 medications. So I didn't need all those medications. Western medicine is not always the best. They over medicate. So if something serious happens, I just deal with it. It's just the way it's going to be. If something comes up so bad that I know in advance I'll need a heart surgery and blah, 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 then I'll go back. I'll go back. There's family members I can stay with temporary, but we're not going to up and move back. So there's like 20 different things that would keep us from going back. So, and I think the ones that live here and go through it and have been here, their answer is going to be the same about going back to the US to live just to deal with medical. I'm aware of it. It's very scary because um, because you just don't know, but it's a decision already made and it's actually somewhat too late now. So in other words, it's been 5, 6 years. We can't get back the stuff that we sold at a quarter of what it was valued at. And to reset ourselves and start from scratch all over again, just so I can, have a doctor's appointment paid for, the answer is no. Medicare here. Yeah, I don't know what that's. My medical plan is to get to the VA. Yeah, that's something that people do also. I thought Monty Crew was military. I'd have to find out. Hey, what is going on, Ted? Good morning. My plan has the wife is going to poison me, right? That's what I'm going to get to. I'm going to go on over to Sweden, man. Get one of those electric coffins. So, and I'm a pretty tough cookie. That's just it. And I get it because here in the last year, there's so many of these expats that pass away alone, nobody to help them. And me and George have discussed after his dad and grandmother passing away, there's been a huge discussion now of going through and doing more paperwork to make sure arrangements are made about certain things like funerals and all of that. We have something roughly drafted out, but it was from the US. So we definitely want to do something here, but we figured in our early 50s it's something we didn't have to think about. But yeah, I mean, I could have choked to death in the bathroom. George has got what was the plan he had for me the other day? He said something about what he was going to do. I forgot what it was. He was making all kinds of plans. You think I'm making plans for him? Good morning, Ted. Here in Canada, there is a public health insurance, but always is private health insurance when you work. And as I'm to understand with Canada, a lot of those benefits, like regular guy, had went back to Canada. I don't know, what's that been a year or so ago, and went back. But as I'm to understand about Canada, it's like the UK. Don't you have to stay there you can't stay here like these guys do permanently, and they go back every 3 or 4 years. Doesn't that break all their like that one guy that went back that we interviewed a while back? When he got back to the UK, he had to reestablish himself with the government, and basically he was a foreigner in his own country. But as I'm to understand, I thought Canada was more than 60 or 90 days, 6 months. I'm not sure. I love the US. I never bite the hand that feeds me. That includes you, Heidi. Well, nobody's biting the US, but I don't have to sit there like all this other political stuff going on and say, I love this person, I love that person, I hate this person, I hate that person. So We are just not going to get on board. You'd be surprised the amount of stuff that comes through on our Facebook and all that. And me and George is like, it doesn't, either way on that. But that's not exactly biting the hand. It's a system that I paid into too. I paid into all that. I was born in America. There's all kinds of things, but it doesn't mean I have to agree with every single thing that goes on, just like here. I get so tired of that conformity thing. Like I've got to be so patriotic that I shouldn't even blink towards the president, or I shouldn't blink towards somebody that mentions America, or I'm not going to suck up to America. I'm not going to suck up to the Philippines. My duties are to my husband and the current household and my children and grandkids that we currently have. That's it. And God, that's where my loyalty lies. And my better friends that I could probably call about a half a dozen. I'm probably about six of them. I can say, hey, these people are true people. That's just where I am. I'm sorry. Loyalty. Yeah. I don't know. But I get you. That goes in many ways. So, yeah. I am grateful that I was born an American. I am an American. It was not given to me. I didn't come from another country and born kids in a country and then given a title or whatever's going on. I am American. I have the freedom currently to leave and come as I please out of all countries. Currently. I just want to say, somebody could say, oh, there's Heidi talking shit about America, and then they cancel my fucking passport. But who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? I'll deal with it when I fucking get there. That's where I am. Blue Cross is a good one, Mark. I have the best Blue Cross shield, so if something happens to me, I'll go back to take care of what I need. That's a good one. I have to concur with Chosen One. Yeah. There's a few of them that did. We shall see. I mean, I want you and Chosen One to describe to me where I bit the hand that fed me. And for fuck's sake, tell me what they're feeding me. That's my fucking money that I'm getting. For those that call it goddamn welfare and that I'm actually whatever. No, I paid in quite a bit over the years. So I did my duties and whatever. Where am I biting the hand that feeds me while I'm in the Philippines? I was not taking any handouts, no supplements, no food stamps, no nothing. One time, I told you guys when I was out in the Ozarks in the 90s, I got 2 months worth of benefits when I went out and got a job. And I was getting a job and it wasn't even that much. I believe there was some supplement for the kids when they were little on their insurance when they went to school. So, I don't know where I'm biting the hand that fed me. What are they feeding me? My own money that I paid into that is in a system? No. No supplements, no nothing. Hey, what's going on, Tarzan? And no, lupus is no joke. It's an unseen situation. I went from no steroids to once to 2 to 3 times a day. I am in menopause, which is unseen illness, and I just go through all these hormonal fluctuations. And my immune system is down. I have no energy. My body feels bruised. Sometimes it feels like somebody has broken my legs. My body will just all of a sudden, for no reason, it blows up about 10 times bigger. And you could look at me now in the photos and go back to a live stream 3, 4 years ago. Big difference in my face and body and everything. But I mean, I own it. And I told George, I went running out in the street with no bra on yesterday, no nothing, and just looking like shit just to grab that kitten. I'm like, and I start, oh hell, I'm just an old lady here, I just did me out there in the street. I just bam out there trying to get that cat. Yeah, that's actually a good one. If you're talking about baking soda and water, some of the more natural remedies is the baking soda and water. Believe it or not, I believe diluted vinegar water, even drinking it. I know it's got a lot of acid in it, but there's something in there that actually helps too. But baking soda and water is really a good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was in there eating Tums and everything else, but I've only had that happen one other time because my bypass, when I eat and drink, I can feel the fluids going down. So I usually have no acid in my stomach. It's just the way that it processes so quick and everything. And I don't have the acid like I used to because the way my stomach was reconstructed. So I had one of the original bypasses. So for the bile to all of a sudden come like that, and it was that already coming up my throat naturally, it was bad. It was bad. No, believe it or not, no sleep apnea. I get that I'm overweight, and a lot of people say, "Oh, and I'm diabetic." No, thank God for that. No diabetes. I, as a matter of fact, since the bypass, the way my food bypassed, I get low blood sugar. So I have a testing kit, and it'll drop down to 30 or 40, something unreal, and I get dizzy and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of messed up. No sleep apnea. I do get um not sleep apnea, but I have asthma just based on the lupus and different things that'll cause me, like when my immune system's down and I have like a flu-like situation. No, I'm talking like this today because the acid ate my throat up and my nose and feels like the whole back of my face was on fire, man. And I'm like yelping out for George, like I'm in there choking, and it George is like, George is like, how's he say that plot? A curse foiled again or foil something that he says that he said, I had a chance to get rid of you, woman. And I was like, damn you, George. I know he was awake when he heard me, but it was bad. Like I was in there struggling. I mean, like I could here, there's something for you, trolls. Could you imagine me in the bathroom struggling, thinking I was dying and stuff? But it's real. People think when people pass away or they're sick and everything else, and you see them on air and shit as celebrities or vloggers or whatever, it's like you just think it's all peaceful and stuff. Or when they're at home, got this paradise going on. No, these bitches are shitting their pants and going through their own medical issues and everything. Don't talk about. Heidi's going to talk about it because I damn near shit my pants. Matter of fact, I have, and George has before. There's you some information. George's like, I can't believe you put that shower scene on. I said, initially it was showing you half nude in there. I said, we're gonna put that out there, real life. So, I've been here almost 5 years. So let's see, it's 2025, 2019 or so. And my daughter has lupus, and I believe my mom did. So my mom had cancer and had a few medical conditions, including Crohn's. She passed away in 1999, and that was uh, when she was 50. I lost my mom early on to a lot of medical problems. And my daughter was just diagnosed less than 2 years ago, and she in her mid 30s right now. And mine was about 2019. They couldn't figure out like I was trying to give platelets one time because they were running a drive, and they had discussed how the platelets were off and different things, and they wouldn't let me do it. It's like they were putting banners all over the Publix and to have people come in, and then I did, and and then they just kept discovering things, and then they did a full thing to check, and so they were like, "Yes, you have lupus," and it kind of is like it would explain why I was having so many issues because forever there were things going on. I would never suffer health wise. You had to live cheaply. Well, it's just not to live cheaply. It's where my husband is from. George is not a citizen of the Philippines. And as we mentioned before, the pandemic was really rough on all businesses. There quite a few businesses went down, and we just weren't going to wait around for that. He was an everyday service. And we lost most employees and half the jobs, and we built them up back over time. But there was no reason to. He is Filipino, and that was our plan, was to go to the Philippines. So what good does it do to live there and have health concerns, which need serious attention? It doesn't need serious attention all the time. Just go to the doctor. I do go to the doctor. So if you watch me on a regular basis, I do. So there are multiple ways. If I'm too sick, then I end up doing the online one. I go to Clark Medical for the most part. So, and so far it's manageable. It's going to be the long term ones where we do have plain money put away, but I do not have medical insurance, and most don't. So they just come and they're self-pay and everything else, but it becomes a problem. So, and people being alone. That's the other problem. A lot of these guys are alone and they don't have anybody to help them or to get them through something without any family here. So, you will die in the Philippines. It's just the food and the external circumstances. I'm just being honest. That's true. It's a third world country. Living in the West, you can count on an extra 5 years. Yep, that is true. As of right now, when I left the United States, I already told myself I lived a good life. So every day given to me now is by God. And thank you, God. That's just where I'm at. Beyond every day, it's a blessing. So that's where I'm at. Living an extra 5 years or living forever or being afraid of death, you got the wrong one there. Because I'm not. I'm happy that I lived another day, day to day. And yes, my medical conditions are serious, but it's not like I've had open heart surgery like Mark Thornton that actually came here shortly afterwards, needed to be on maintenance meds, knew he would have to have those valves replaced. That's crazy. I'm not dealing with that right now. So it's serious, but not serious. And by the way, when I left 5 years ago, most of this wasn't even here. A lot of some of these circumstances have come up recently. So it's not I mean, I'm not going to put it in reverse. We said that we are on a budget. We did not come with a couple 100,000 or these house building people with online investments and all of that. Just keeping it real. That's about as real as it gets. I want to be able to speak to women that want to come here or the men that are wanting to come here, not giving the dating advice, not giving what's not real with people sitting there suffering in the West. So it's just where it is, men and women that want to get out. And don't act like it ain't what people are trying to do now. People are trying to figure out alternatives. And then people somehow forget. You guys act like George is just was an American or whatever. No, it was never going to be a permanent thing on us, staying there. Oh, you don't have to challenge you there, chosen one. There's no doubt living. Matter of fact, I think it was beyond 5 years. Yes, of course. Yeah, I was just saying that earlier. I have enough to go back, and if I do, it's going to be by myself. George will stay here. So, there's plenty of family, a few friends that I can stay with. So, yes, I do. But here's the thing, can you pull the trigger to do it? That's another thing, like Monty Crew. I think at this point he's maybe too sick to go back. And he's already discussed. I seen him on the GoFundMe. Let me pull up. I'm going to pull up Monty Crew. I'm going to start me a GoFundMe. GoFundMe so I can get some more ice cream. Let's see. George's like, no. I'd like to see George's face. All right. So there's Monty Crew. It's a public file. So this is all public. And he is on Facebook asking for help. So again, for those that are like, oh, you just trying to expose, we expose when we're ready to expose, we say what we're going to say. I said it. He put it out himself. And it says here, a mole on my nose turned into stage 3 melanoma cancer. It's been removed and his nose had to be reconstructed. The only thing I disagree with that is he brought his daughter and she was there when it happened, or they were doing this stuff, and I don't think they should have brought the kid in to see her, let it be seen. The cancer has now spread to my neck, and I've had 3 lymph nodes removed. I have, let's see, I'm trying to read it here. I have lymph nodes in my right lungs now and a mass growing in my left lung. See, this is stuff I am not dealing with, and I am in my early 50s. Okay, so I was checked out fully before I left. I do see a doctor and get x rays and blood work. So I do my maintenance. And for you guys out there that know me, I do. You see me eating the donuts on air. You can assume I eat junk all day long. Yeah, I ate ice cream the other day. But for the most part, I actually eat healthy most of the time. Like we keep the vegetables in here. I do cook at home. We do high protein flax seeds. I do these protein shakes. I do these things that are healthy. I just make a few rotten decisions on the side. But he's got some serious issues going on. It says here he admits that he owns the house. He owns his house in the Philippines. So he doesn't have any rent. He just pays his food. He says what his Social Security is. My Social Security is 1,100 a month. Um, Now to me that sounds on the low end for the type of work he said he did all those years, but I don't know why it's at 1,100 a month. I had a stroke, so I can no longer work. I'm 64, which would be hard for him to work anyways. I know he does the YouTube channel, but not much. I believe it's called the Crew Family Vlog or Crew Family Philippines. I'm 64, so I have another year before I qualify for Medicare. Well, Medicare is not going to help him anyway. Sorry. He would have to go back, and if he pays in the 175 a month on the Medicare, you can't use Medicare in any manner in the Philippines. The only time you can is if you have a supplement. If you're living here long term, those supplements will be terminated anywhere after, could be up to 6 months to a year. It can be used if you're living part time in the United States and you meet the guidelines in those states. I believe in Florida, they cut ours off after 60 days for the supplement. So he's saying that he'll qualify for Medicare. And I don't have a place to live in the US. He can't use the Medicare here, anyways. So he doesn't have any way to go back. They have a 6-year-old daughter. And I would like to live long enough that she'll remember me. I'm sure she'll remember you. All I need to do is have a stent and bypass surgery. Oh, he also needs bypass surgery in his heart. That is a person that is medically wrecked and should go back for sure. Even if he just goes into a care facility with that many issues. But until you walk a mile in my shoes, or you walk a mile in George's shoes, or Monty Crew's, we really don't know. We really, really don't know. Same with Mark Thornton. A lot of people said that was a pure teardown. No, we were just covering a guy that was stopped taking his heart medications, was taking a hormone therapy that was off street brand, and he had a baby late in life. It was just like, that's why we covered him. But until we all do, including Mark Thornton's, you guys don't know. Everybody is an individual on how, their success or life plan is going to go. So he's asking people to share it on the social media page. So it is under Monty Crew, under the GoFundMe. Checking something else here. All right, that's somebody totally different. Wow, another guy has cancer. His name's Monty, and he's had reconstruction. It's weird. It was like side by side. I thought he had another account. So, in saying that, it'll probably roll us into, the bug out plan. Yes, I've got enough to go back and do this, and that. Still run the house. We plan to add to that, but we got a lot of other stuff, that we want to do. I mean, there's so many different things, but it's kind of like in life, we will, even if we were back in the US, we'd be still trying to do some of those same goals. Like maybe we do want to get a place or a condo so it's paid for. More than likely, believe it or not, even with my medical conditions, George has his own. There's a good chance I will outlive George here. A lot of people ask me about that. Um, but we do, yes, have the money for that purpose. That's why we said you have to have a no shit plan. We have that. But honestly, in a year or two, that could fall apart. That could always fall apart. I mean, like I said, there are some medical concerns for George that are pretty immediate, but we just have to take one day at a time. I lost about 6 years of my life in the Philippines, but I will try to get those two back in South America, right? I know. I know, chosen one. What is your deal? Mal, Mal, come on. Come here. It's TT, the one that's blind. No, well, I know that's your nemesis. Uh, um, Pigsy is sitting right here, and the other cat came in here. They like to fight, and she just noticed she's sitting here next to me. Yeah. Hey, Pigsy. My plan is to never give up my anchor in the US and not to live full time in the Philippines. It's unhealthy. Um, I, you know, honestly, I don't even know if I can answer that that's the right thing to do either because there's so many pros and cons. Because not everybody is that prepared to say they own a house and that they're in the upper 1% in the US or 10%. I don't know what the percent is. I know the ones that come here and plan right and are rich here is a 1%er. They claim they're a 7%er or something. Okay, give yourself 7% that are doing the right thing here in the Philippines and have those full social media vibe looking retirement plans that are so commercialized, like that their lives are that perfect and like this all the time when they're what I call bullshit. But let's say you do and not you per se. I'm just saying the whole vibe that people put out there that they've done everything right. I can think of one specific channel that showed how they built this brand new house. Their marriage is perfect. They have their social security. They have two or three retirement plans. They're investing in coins and all that. Unproven, but that's the only thing they could prove is they got the house that they're building. But even other channels have built houses that weren't even their money and they were just doing it for whatever. So but let's say that you are, and I'm staying in that vibe of saying that you do, and you keep a place back in the US and you bought a house because you wouldn't want to leave a rental. We weren't going to leave a rental. We didn't sell a house. We were in rentals, two rentals when we left. I'm not going to continue to pay rent and I'm not going to go live there for 6 months, 3 months and keep coming back and forth. One, I don't think I could take going back and forth anymore, not with my lupus and to traveling back and forth. And it's really expensive. Whatever money we did have, and with all the stuff going on in the US, the cost of living, the tariffs, and all this shit up and coming, we will not survive that. Never claim we were ritzy titsy richy. So, unfortunately, that's not for everybody. But having to own the home, there's still other things going on. People don't want to deal with the property taxes, or some people rent them out and their places get torn up, or there's so many different things. But everybody has to make that decision on their own whether they're going to live there. Most decide not to do that. So the expats we meet, they live here on a permanent basis. They don't keep places back there. So it's just, I guess it's a circle we live in. Now, some have multiple houses, multiple places. That's fine. But, you know, who's to say for the ones that, I don't know, it's unhealthy? I wouldn't say that. It's about everybody's individual health. I'm going to die here just like I would die there. I don't exactly think the preventative maintenance and the medicine that they were practicing back in the US, they were over drugging me and testing me every 5 minutes and just bleeding me in all kinds of appointments. And I just felt like a human guinea pig at some point. Honestly, believe it or not, I've been healthier here than I did back in the US. There was so many things they had me on. Basically, I was sleeping half my day away on medications. So hey, what's going on, Laura? The heat would wipe me out. Yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's, prime life here. There's multiple reasons we're here. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's only because George is Filipino. I've mentioned that, but it is cost. And the way that George was running himself in the ground, working and everything, there's no going back. Once for some like us, there's multiple reasons to not backpedal and go back. So, but the heat, yeah, it's rough, but adjusting. Yep, it's very unhealthy. Vloggers lie. That's true. Imagine living in trash and eating food where everybody makes $8 to $10. It's true. It's not for everybody. So, not for everybody. Monty Crew is extremely sick. If I had that many things going on, or even one of what he did, yes, I'd be back in the U.S. So I'm not saying I won't go back. If I had, I mean, I already have skin cancer, and I've already had this already dug out once while I was here, but it's not. It wasn't where I had to have something reconstructed. I mean, you just heard me list everything that he's got. And now he needs heart surgery too. Sorry, that's too many things. He needs to go back now. Why? He's healthy enough. He just showed that he I think showed where he was in an outing or something. But if he can, I would go home. So I would agree. You need to get down. Now, what are you doing? Make it Why do you do that? Hmm. Wait. She jumps up on here. You're gonna knock my tea over. Dirty face. Dirty face. Dirty face. Wanna say hi? I don't know why you cats get that. You can actually, oh, you can see your eye a minute ago. And say hi. Look, look. She's the one that's blind in one eye. What? You don't want to talk now? Hmm? I'll put you down. Hey, what are you doing? My black son. Got my black son here. You being a good boy? My ninja. Anybody want to see my black son? Hey, my black son. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. He's a ninja. You're a ninja too. Yeah. Yeah. You want to come say hi? You want to say hi, Gio? There he is. Yay. You a good boy? Oh, I know. I'll put you down. Oh, they down. It's nap time. They run around starting about 4 or 5 in the morning, and then they wear themselves out. Surprised they're down now. But yeah, back to Monte Crew. Sorry, distracted again. Rats ADHD wins again. I know you are, sweetie. I know you are. I like Chosen One. I appreciate that. Contrary to proper belief, I am not the 1%, more like the 10%. But if you need money, talk to Ruby. I will. I sure will. I hear you, man. I hear you. I mean, I think every expat that's been here long term, we've been here 5 years. George is, a born, raised in Angel City. And, we kind of know where our limits are. I think everybody will. Everybody will. And honestly, I've been lucky so far. Now, the nosebleed didn't feel like I was lucky. I thought I was going to die that day. It opens your eyes up. You save a little bit more money toward things. You make some plans, dislocation of the shoulder. But if I got down to Monte Crew sick, yes, of course. There's no doubt. I even told George at some point that I would actually just live in a facility. We're down to talking about like Monte Crew and how bad things can get. Let's say I lose my mind, I got to be institutionalized. I told him, I said, honestly, I would probably continue to live in the Philippines with your family, and then I'm gonna live there because I'm just gonna be institutionalized or whatever. It's just where it is, and I mean that as in having to permanently go into a facility for whatever, and that just seems drastic for him to have all those medical issues and not do something. But you never know till you get down to a lot of people, like when you see these movies where people were attacked or held captive, you're like, there's no damn way I'd have stayed in that basement. I'd have kicked him in his teeth. Until you're in those positions and been put in that position, we just never know. We never know. So I get that he wants to be with his daughter, and oh, you gotta start your channel, Chosen One. Chosen One is in the Philippines. Ah, gotcha. Mark says, I never implied to go back home permanently, go back and live with friends and family and see the doctors. Right. Definitely not that, though. I'm not sick enough to take I don't know where tickets, I'm going to guess where tickets are. 1,500 round trip, 1,200 round trip. Don't say they're under 1,000, depending, but my health to get on the plane, I'd become way worse to go home and take that trip home where my body is out of commission for 2, 3 weeks. That's how bad my lupus is, though. I have zero energy after 12, and I have all kinds of those issues going on. But there are good enough doctors on Clark that I'm already being taken care of. So there's nothing now, short of like what Monty Crew's going to go back. It's not that serious for me, but I feel that some people should go back. Yes. Western medicine, yeah, over medicates. No, they had me going to all these specialties because I do also suffer from migraines, and I was on injections back in the US. I don't have to take those injections anymore. I went from having blackout migraines like Baby May for a couple days at a time down to one a month, one every other month. But why was I having them in the US? So could have been the other medications, could have been some more stress I was under. It's just hard saying. But they did stop. I don't know. Could have been, because we were eating out a lot more in the US than we are now. We were always eating out and traveling. It's hard saying. Oh, I no longer live in the Philippines for 2 months at a time. It's too much. Yeah, I don't know. It says I heard Columbia wax dangerous. Yeah, I don't know what that is. You are a tough cookie. You handle the heat, adapted. There's a lot going on and still keep a sense of humor. George was mad at me yesterday. Just want to say, when I ran outside for that kitten because I heard him screaming in the rain. Um, I guess the guy who got him from under the trike and a couple other guys standing down the street actually asked George for money. And I told him, first off, I did thank the guy that he had grabbed him off the ground. I could have grabbed him. He was just quick to grab him for me. And he held him up, and we couldn't take in the sick cat for those that didn't hear that. But when George was out there, the guy asked him for money and he gave it to him. When he went back out to dump trash, like two other guys asked him for money. He was like, they asked me for money because you ran outside and they helped you. I said, only one guy was out there. And he ended up paying three different guys money just for no reason. So it's just like, it was kind of crazy. Uh, for those that are joining back in, we're talking about Medicare, we're talking about illnesses. I ended up becoming sick for a recap for people coming in. We're talking about Monty Crew, sick here in the Philippines. He has a YouTube channel linked to Dumageddon. Now, I did cancel for those, if I didn't get that part in there, I canceled my Medicare 2 months ago. Reasoning is because I've paid close to 11,000 into it and haven't used it. And that's how sure I am that I'm not going back to live on a permanent basis. Being as I'm on disability that I paid into, I do hold the hospitalization part. Okay. And that will cover inpatient, hospital, and some other things. So Part B got canceled. I filled out a form, CMS 1763. I did it through the U.S. Embassy. All of it was online, and they took care of it through the Social Security online, and they canceled it. So it's kind of, sorry, I got a cough drop here. But I was sick, for those that didn't hear. Still am. Acid ate my throat up really bad. My nose, went to the doctor yesterday, and it just caused all kinds of inflammation in my chest. But basically, because I have no gallbladder, that happened 20 something years ago, that it was removed, my body doesn't process the food right. And, I stopped smoking probably about 7, 8 years ago. I, I think I've had a half of an apple beer within the last 2 years. I really don't drink anymore except for that incident. And so I don't drink, I don't smoke, I do not eat junk food every day. I do it on air because it's one of the days that we just get lazy and order something. But that day, because we've been dealing with two deaths in the family and on our monthly budget, I didn't buy a lot of healthy food because it's been costing us more money. I cut back and not doing good. I had acid or bile. It was pure bile. It was pure yellow. It was on the floor. I was spitting it out. I was really, really sick, guys. It came up in my throat, burned my nose, everything, and I couldn't get it out. There was mucus everywhere. It was bad. So that's why I got a raspy voice today. But it made me start thinking about all the medical and Monty Crew, and I was like, no, wasn't going to do a live because we did one yesterday. I said, no, we need to get back on track of our regular days on the live stream. George is with his uncle. Um, and It does bring around the point also of the mental issues that people come with or develop when they get here, temporary breakups, their divorces. A lot of people are divorcing, these YouTubers and people in public, expats with their Filipinos are breaking up and divorcing. It'll cause depression. George even admitted that he's really, really upset over his dad and grandmother. And he has been sleeping a lot more. And he said that it is, of course, a form of depression, but I don't know when he'll get out of it. He was extremely upset yesterday. Somebody came in and made a stupid statement, and that person's been trollish before and, of course, got blocked. At this point, he's been in other troll rooms and stuff, and we get everybody has their right to speak and all that. But George was pretty serious about his dad and grandmother, and I think he came in and said prayer and farts. And I'm like, yeah. And George went off, man. I don't know who didn't see that yesterday. It's still up. He cussed him out, man. He's pretty much like, fuck you. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. George, you don't want to make George mad. I'm not even kidding, man. George will knock the shit out of you. I ain't even kidding, guys. George is not even a joke on that shit. But he went off and everything. But yeah, you got depression, anxiety. My anxiety was high here when I first got here. Everything set me off. I just couldn't handle a lot of anything. And I've been traveling to foreign countries. Even Egypt seemed like a cakewalk compared to what was going on here in the Philippines. There was a lot going on. And so it's like a mix of things. Oh, and that's another thing that we did at one point when we first got here was Phil Health. We're probably going to re-register into Phil Health again. At least it's got some coverage. There are expats that are on it. You can get Phil Health. It's not a lot of coverage, but something is better than nothing. People have had kids on it and everything else. It's basically a low-end medical here. So I think it's 5% of the income. I don't know if Onstad is in the room or will come in the room, but it's like 5%. So cost you 80 or 100 or something, give or take. I think ours would be over 100 a month, something like that, based on my income. Now, it used to be George could not get the original Phil Health and then add me, but according to the internet, you can do that now. So then I would just be added for free. And I'm like, well, why not just do it that way? I don't know. You have to check into it. Some's better than nothing. Then a lot of people say it sucks. We never used it when we did it for the 1 year. So, what is going on, Slick Rick? Hey, my black son. Hey, what's going on? My black son is back. Hey, Black Bean. Hey, Negro. Oh, you're such a good boy. Oh, you're such a good boy. You're so lame. He's the cats we usually keep have special issues. We like special people. Yeah. I don't know what happened. He got something stuck on his fur, and then now he's got this white spot. It's like he almost got bit by something. It's above your eye, and now he's just got like a white hole in the top of his head. But no, when he walks, he's always had a misbalance since he was a kid. This is the kittens that were outside. So he is they're like 8 months old now. So hi baby. So yeah, you good boy. Yeah. And he talks a lot. I'm surprised he's not talking. You're not gonna talk? Uh, how'd you tear that off your eyebrow? You stink though. You stink. Is that your daddy coming back? It's always hard saying. No, they're cleaning up. They're remodeling the place next door. thought maybe that was George coming in. So I didn't think so. Usually he's over there for a couple hours. So I'm really surprised if that was going to be him. But good morning. Sorry, Slick Rick. Mark, I'm not going to address on Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, everybody will have their opinion. I don't mind if you, I guess I will. Everybody has their opinion on that. Regardless, free speech should be available. That's all I can say on that. We know that he got fired, um, and there's a lot going on that. But I believe the right to free speech is disappearing. Doesn't matter whose side you're on. It's yeah, it doesn't matter. There a lot of that is just going crazy. It's a very sad tragedy in all directions right now. It's sad that that the guy lost his life. I'm extremely sad for his wife and children. He was a great Christian, I can say that much. And but I think these talk show hosts should be able to cover things. It's not like he was like out there with a pitchfork saying go after him or whatever. But there's been a lot of negative comments. I get why everybody's in a roar. So it's become very controversial, and a lot of other show hosts have spoke up. It's sad. It's sad in all directions. The only thing I know is that that right is disappearing. Then, no matter what he had said, it doesn't mean I agree with him or the next person or the next person. But it just means that one thing is disappearing. So, and then his reasonings to come back is upsetting a bunch of people. That if he donates to them and apologizes, then they'll let him keep his job. And it's like, well, I don't know. That's kind of, an apology I get, but I know he's not going to. Good morning, Ruby. Him up. Good morning, Ruby. How are you? I have an HMO and I'm trapped to areas. Yes, that's another thing I keep hearing. I want to set that straight too. When I left the US, I am on Social Security disability and have been for a while. Like a couple years before I left the US. And I had Medicare and I had a supplement. I didn't get any food stamps. I didn't get any extra where they did something, but I did get the supplement. And yes, anything outside of Florida, I'd have lost it. I believe it was 60 days. So there's no way to keep that. But I do want to let you know that people still keep it because they keep telling Medicare and Social Security that they don't let them know they've left the country. They don't let them know that it is on Social Security site that you need to contact them and tell them. A lot of people do not live 6 months a year or even 4 months a year in the US. They use their family's address, somebody else's address, and then they keep their banks there, which their bank they're allowed to do, but they keep the supplements too. And because some people say they can use their supplements over here, most of them you can't. Certain ones you can that are attached to Medicare, but usually most of the hospitals, even with those insurance, you got to pay up front. I believe some of the insurances they have here in the Philippines, you have to pay up front. So, but no, once you leave the U.S., you lose a lot of different things. But some of the guys try to beat the system. So, I mean, uh, yeah, I work. Yep, yep. Weather here in the Bay is definitely changing. Fall is on the way. Yeah, I see people covering where Halloween is coming in, Christmas stuff, and all this is starting to come in. Hey, Lucka, good morning. No, that is true. That is true. And that's something I've really been trying to open up my eyes is understand more with the people that, aren't blessed. I understand I'm still blessed to be an American. Um, and that I do have those things because when I got here, it had been just like, screw that. They owe me. And I get that they do. It is still at the mercy of my government to send that check every month. Okay. And I'm more than blessed and I am proud to be an American. I really am. And I think sometimes I'm just overwhelmed with the sadness going on and man turning their back on man right now in the US. It's been very, very hard. And the only thing I can say on the entire situation is people should open their eyes. It is not down to Democrat and Republican and independents and conservative. It's down to humans. And right now, it just seems like it's social media that's really causing those issues. So instead of blaming the president, go look at what he said. Go read directly from him. Instead of saying it's that person, make sure it's them. Don't listen to these 50 million vloggers that are out there that are putting out misinformation and all that. Do your due diligence, but love your fellow man. Smack them in the face if you got to, if they trying to attack you, but you got what I'm saying. Take care of you. If you're being like physically attacked in public because you walk by or something based on race, color, Republican, Democrat, take care of your business. But what I'm saying is I can't believe what's actually been going on. I'm like, did they not read that? Did they not do that? And George is like, man, that's really crazy. And so I'm just concerned for our family over there. George has children that look Asian. I have children that look Asian because they are partially. And I just worry that based on looks, based on them carrying a Democrat card or a Republican, we have both in our family, that that shit can go south like quick. So I just want everybody to love somebody. I just, it's sad. I don't want to have to choose. I don't have to beat your ass either if you put your hands on me, but I will. So, but yeah. Yeah, it includes chosen one. I love you, chosen one. And come take care of your black son. I want some child support, man. Hey, hey, Gio, your daddy doesn't love you no more. No, he doesn't love you. No, no. He's doing the low rumble. Listen. What? He doesn't love you no more. No. No. Yeah. Oh what? Well tell him. Tell him. You just want to love on that microphone. Um, you know what? I'm gonna get a permanent marker. I'm gonna mark that spotted. It's weird. Can you see it on the other side? It's just he had something that looked like a bug bite, and when I went to go mess with it, now he's got a white spot above his head. But I'm gonna get the permanent black marker or the marker for the dry erase one, and I'll fill that in for you. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Meow, 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 meow. All right, I'll hold you here for a little bit. Yep, America is about freedom, most definitely. In Australia, you can't live overseas. A lot of places you can't go nowhere. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Some might not know who Destiny is, just another loudmouth anti American YouTuber who got demonetized. He was making about 750 to a million a year, and now he's making nothing. Was that because of what he was saying about Charlie and a bunch of other things? See, I think it's wrong that they're doing it for one thing and not the other. That's where I'm at on all of that. Because there are people currently talking in all directions about different things that are in the government, or like if it's the UK and you say something bad about the royal family or the queen and you keep going on, yeah, you can get in big trouble for stuff like that. But it's just not, it is part of the constitution, but is it another American that's doing it? Was it based on Charlie? And Yeah, here's like what me and George said. It's like if they say stop, then we would actually cease in our tracks. If they said, hey, this is a law and you're going to go to jail, if you ever say Mark Thornton again, then you would never hear the word out of our mouths again. I mean, you got to kind of go with what's going on or at least be smart about it. But I understand people will stand up for what they believe is still a constitutional right. So it just becomes there are people that aren't, they're anti Trump or they're for Trump or they're for Charlie or against Charlie. They're like kind of like neutral, but there will be something that will break you. Something will eventually break you. And it could be something like Jimmy Kimmel thing. And there are some people that are on the other sides that are like, what the hell? And so it's kind of my whole deal to this whole situation, something will break each individual. What's it going to take that's going on in the White House or with Charlie or the next person or Israel or Gaza that's going to make people be like, give the middle finger and said, I'm done. So I'm sorry, it's hard saying. I recommend as an expat to see that you have a couple of friends that you can have an emergency contact, yeah, aside from your partner. Most definitely. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ruby. We do, as a matter of fact, when we leave, I take like this little pink backpack. I've had it forever since Mexico. And I keep a card that has that along with contacts because there's been people, husbands and wives, whether they're Filipino, expat and Filipino, they get in these accidents or they're out and about. I mean, what if both me and George are food poisoned at a restaurant all at once and we both drop? It's you should have that in contacts because George has a couple kids. I have a couple kids in the US. Our family, we have family here. There may be a preference on hospital if they're willing to take you to a specific hospital. Yeah, and medicines you're on or something. Yeah, because you will get Filipinos that'll run up and start trying to help you. But it's a really good idea. We laminated the cards, by the way. If you're not prepared to come here, do not come here. That is true. But remember, things can change. You could be prepared. We had way more money. We've given the money out, and not everybody can maintain things over time. Just like like when in the US. But there are the ones that come here that blow your mind. Recently, Sunshine covered that guy who came here. I believe he said he had less than. There are a lot of them that aren't even prepared. No lie, we were prepared when we arrived. We came in the pandemic. We saved even more by leaving the US and experiencing Mexico, which was beautiful. We're really happy we did. We brought money in with us. We I accepted not having full medical. It was not going to deter me from coming here. But people shouldn't, but I'd probably say 98% of them do without insurance, without enough money, without any plans to come and marry and start a family. It's insane. It should be something. It is up to each individual what they can take on and what they are able to handle. That is for sure. Man, Sunshine has been at it, man. I can't catch up on his videos. That's funny. I no longer use toilet paper in the Philippines. Really, Sunshine? Did you really go there? I got butt wipes. I got toilet paper. We got the spray gun. And the one upstairs has one of those little koozie things where the water automatically comes up. And I still dry it afterwards. That's what I use my toilet paper. That's probably why I'm broke. That's why I'm broke. I'm broke because these damn cats and George. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, the guy arrived with only $1,600 to his name and a head full of dreams. And I knew he was a YouTuber, and I knew there's something that he had a wife. And then when I opened his videos up, he has a kid too. Another guy that he showed he was living in some sort of trailer or van or something. So his life was so when he left. I wouldn't call it middle class. I'd say me and George were middle class. We had several cars, an apartment, a house, a swimming pool, and this guy was probably below that because he was living in a van. But he comes here, he just got out of a divorce. I think he's still got kids there, and then he comes over and marries and has a kid and comes in with 1,600. How he started a business, I have no idea. But wow. Hey, sunshine. But no, I think that's extremely dangerous. I'm no, that's crazy. And I believe Sunshine came in with little to nothing in a backpack. What was the amount, Sunshine? Does anybody remember? 800? Under 1,000. The same with every man. And he just had them stents and all that open heart surgery. I mean, not right away. And depression. Mark Thornton said he tried to off himself. He told that story like 8 or 9 times, but then got mad when somebody said something. And it's like, I get the anxiety and the different things that can happen. And I mean, I've got ADHD where it's hard for me to focus. As you guys can see, I'm all over the place. I interrupt George all the time. I'm loud, I'm obnoxious. I admit that, but I didn't come in where I, did some stupid shit like this and then come in with little to no money and start a family, have a kid. What was the age gap difference? 40 years with him? There was so much there's limits to everything. If you're not prepared all the way around and you can't support the family that you start, which was what was kind of going on with him, that's yeah, you just can't. Lots of stereotypes, generalizations about size and health. Yeah. Oh, it definitely, no doubt. George, if he gains 5 pounds, he'll say he's overweight. And I said, yeah, I gained 50 pounds. And it's like probably you gaining five, with my height and, frame and everything. I am mostly German and French descent. Down the line, per DNA, I'm Scandinavian. I'm all that Viking stuff. Even my jaw shape, per the dentist, said that mine was like a 1 in a million situation or more because they had to do jaw surgery on me. And they were like, "Yeah, you got the jaw of a Scandinavian person." But but just due to that, me putting on weight would be like George putting on 5 pounds. But down to the health things, yeah. I mean, skinny people, like he's got all skinny people in his family got diabetes. And nobody in my family has diabetes. We have heart issues, we have stomach issues, we have all these different things. And probably due to the foods, I used to eat a lot of bread and pastas and all that when they took my gallbladder out. I mean, I really was up there in weight, the highest weight I ever hit. And this may be a shock for some that are in the room that might have missed it. I was up to 418 pounds at one point. I am not 418 pounds. Okay, so that's all I can say is for those that are like, oh, well, she's 6, she's 7, she's 800 pounds. No, that's not where I'm at. I'm big, but that's how big I was before I lost a bunch of weight, and I have regained a bunch of weight. So it's like, and with weight gain, a lot of other issues come. And then my right leg was destroyed by a spider. It's basically my right leg got hollowed out. It was really nasty. And the circulation of my right leg, besides my weight and lupus, keeps me from standing. I can't stand 20, 30 minutes at a time anymore. So I can't stand in line at, these festivals anymore, where I could have a couple years ago when I first got here, but it just progressively is getting worse. But as a matter of fact, I'm proud. I was in a wheelchair for a while. So for those that know me, I was in a wheelchair on and off when I first got here. And I didn't want to rely on it. I told George, once you lay in bed too long or once you're in a wheelchair, it's like classes. You get used to it. It becomes a crutch. So I have not probably used a chair probably more than a year. So it's actually, we have it stored upstairs. So that's, but yeah. Kind of, I've been up and down. They're healthier people than some people that are in wheelchairs. Being skinny and working out and eating healthy does not mean that it's going to bring health. When I was in the US, when I met George, I was in the gym 6 days a week. I swear on my grandkids' life. And I was eating healthy vegan. And I did that for almost 2 years. And then I was eating more healthier than I ever was when I first met him. And I still had medical issues. So, but being healthy and doing all that, you could just drop and have a heart attack. You can choose to live overseas as long as you want if you notify the government about relocating. Um, it doesn't say it's a law, but if you read the Social Security sites, it says you must contact and let us know. Because a lot of people don't realize that they're not everybody paid into their Social Security. There are some that are on low income, born into that type of Social Security disabilities, or they get it based on no income and they're over here living on that money. And if they contact them, they know they'll lose it. So there are benefits they're afraid they'll lose. I think some of them are collecting the supplements here. I think they got the state paying, and so they just keep it all rolling while they live out of the country, which is not right. They got to be careful. They'll have to repay that. We did not come here for GoFundMe pages or expats bailing out. Sorry. Yes, be prepared. I agree. I agree. I mentioned that to George, and then he kind of looked at me. I said, "Yeah, bitch, I guess that could be me." Because I told him, I said, if the medical bills got that bad and we went totally broke and used all of our money on him or me, it's like at that point, would you actually ask? And it's like you would go back to the U.S. I told George it could be me, but I told him I would go back at that point. That's why we at least have the ticket money and money to live on and go live with a friend or our kids until I take care of medical issues. But he doesn't even have that backup. I'm broke. That's what we should have called broke Philippines. But we never proclaimed to be so super prepared, but we're not that broke. In other words, we're broke to American standard because if I was back in the US trying to live on my Social Security and what little savings and the 8 credit cards I was living on and paying off, that, yeah, and especially with what happened in the pandemic and what's going on now, if I didn't live with someone at this point and I wasn't with George, yeah, of course I'd be struggling. I'm well aware of that. But I am married to George. He does have some income. He does have savings, and it's part of the reason we're here. So you have to put into all those considerations. I don't hide the fact that I'm not trying to tell you that it's perfect. I'm not one of those that are saying, "Oh, I'm richer than everybody," or "I'm doing way better," or "Don't do that." It's got to be up on everybody's individual basis whether they're going to roll the dice. We rolled big time dices when we came here. We knew that. We knew that, and I'm still aware of that. Our government at least respects and honors the rights of its people. Ruby is from Australia. Bruce is talking about singing "Born in the USA." We did not come here to retire with other expats. Be prepared. We did not come here to retire. Are you talking about to hang out with them, or because I said that a lot when we first started the channel? I was like, we didn't come here to hang out because everybody was like, why don't you go hang with expats, or why aren't you going to where they're all doing these things in Angel City? And I'm like, because I didn't come here to do that. I didn't come here to go on vacation. Why haven't you gone to Cebu? Why haven't you gone to so and so's whatever? Why? Because that's not what we came here for. I'm doing what I would be doing in the US. That's just it. Oh, Heidi, you stay at home most time. I asked him to be home cooking, cleaning, and sucking on George anyways. What you talking about? What you going on, Pigsy? My cat with my hand, she's watching Pig. Oh, there you are, Pigsy. Want to say hi again? Look, see, Pigsy's still alive. I know it's crazy, but Pigsy's the one that's been sleeping for almost a week. Pigsy, yeah, go say hi. Look, there's the mic. Aww. No, you look depressed. Pigsy's depressed. If you guys want to support Pigsy. Okay, you don't have to worry about my GoFundMe, but look at Pigsy. Pigsy, are you asleep? Oh, there you are. I know you're depressed and nobody loves you. Yeah, don't be depressed. Pigsy's going through depression. So, not Pigsy. Not Pigsy. We got her some it's like a glucose powder for cats that are sick. And it's got like sugar and it's got some electrolytes in it. She's been drinking that and eating. I boiled her some chicken. We had some chicken in the deep freezer, and I boiled it. And so I don't think the bay leaf hurt because I don't think the bay leaves are bad for the cats because they haven't gotten sick from it before. But I put that in there for flavor. She's been eating it, so she likes the cold chicken. But yeah, Laura's, did you guys hit that like button? I guess safe place to live in Australia. No worries about that. Is true about the mass shootings. Yeah, and they don't have them here. A lot of people talk about safety and stuff. I feel safer here than I did in Mexico and in the U.S. myself. So, and that was over 5 years ago. So, and I know it's changed since then. You're right. I don't know the U.S. that much anymore, but I do know that much because of who's still living there. Doesn't take a blind person per regular social media, all the media and our kids and the videos that they provide and the other family members. So, but yeah. Have you taken any steps to provide for George in the unlikely event? Well, here's the thing. I mean, yes and no. He's the one with the savings. He's the one, if you guys will look at our initial videos, you can clearly see how many cars he had. That was his house. I had one SUV when I met him, and he had multi cars, the house, the business, and we sold that. So he does have savings. And then the other part is his family's here. There's a family house he can always live in, so we don't have to worry about that. That house is actually permanent paid for that he can go live in. And his family is the one with money. His family, I hate to say it, is way better off than mine. So anything that I can leave, yes. Am I planning to do some sort of life insurance or something else with my health issues and the payments? We figured the time frame. We think versus the payments versus whatever at this point it may not be worth it, but we're looking into that. But he's got probably more money than that they would pay out for me. So I mean he's yeah, he's fine. He's got children in the US, he's got a daughter here and family here. I don't think I'll have to worry about that. But we have. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the live is that we are starting to do that now. Before his dad and grandmother passed away, we were not really discussing. He would not talk to me. We've done a few lives where we've discussed it, saying make plans. We had some papers in the US, kind of like oh, now you want to talk? Huh? Oh, come here. Now you want to talk? Huh? Say something to your dad? Well, say something. Yeah? Want to say something? He's down there yelping. Probably heard the word chicken. But no, we are. Yeah, so to re-answer that, yes. But he wants to do more papers, like the do not resuscitate and all those medical decisions we do have. He wants to go through and start making arrangements for different things. Yes. Ruby, I can't fight you every day. Calm down. I chose someone not fighting. Ruby's like, truce, man, truce. A lot of people don't. And I get that because a lot of times I kind of get that way and George does too, especially when we see a lot of them. But somewhere in our heart we're like it could happen to us because we are not that 1%, 8%ers. It could happen honestly like homelessness, the statements about people in the homeless in the US and everything, it could happen to anybody. Everybody and anybody. You could be wiped out of everything at any time for multiple reasons. So, yeah, most people. Heidi, did you say George won't be able to accompany you back to the U.S. if medical emergencies happen? I wouldn't have him. He has the ability to go back. It would take paperwork and stuff at this point because he's been out of the country for 5 years. His green card is still legally in the document valid, but I think he would have to reapply again. We haven't even looked into that because there's really no intention. So I would go back by myself because I can't see if I was taking care of something medical, I would just have my family do it. So financially, it would be cheaper to keep him here and have me go back. So it just depends. If we don't have any time at all, then yes. If I know that in a year I need a heart surgery, then we'd have to reapply. I believe green cards are invalid after what, a year, 6 months? I don't know. I haven't even looked. We haven't even. I know his card is still good according to it, but I don't know what the rules are on entering and exiting. I won't even pretend that I do. But he was legal when he left. His card is still valid. Now, how long out of the country it means anything for permanent residency, I have no idea. But we had already decided that I would just go. George is Filipino. How long have you been in the room? No, he is, but he does have permanent residency in the U.S., or like I said, he did. But it's been 5 years since he's been back. I forgot the extra. I don't even have the card in front of me to know how long the expirations are, or the YouTubers who channels it's Ben and Cebu just posted expats who's 43 just died, leaving behind a wife and kid. Oh snap! And very sad. And there are hidden medical issues, sweetie. I can't hold you. Here, get down and go to lay with your sister. Here, go to sleep. No, it's very sad. It is, and there are unseen medical issues. A lot of these guys aren't taking any caution to win. I'm not saying him. I'm talking about the ones that don't take their heart medicines. They're using the little blue pill for lovemaking. They're having kids, which is it still ages you some. And some of them are taking on younger wives and sexual activity, which I hate to say it, if you're 60, 70, 80, some of them guys are up there. It kind of wears on your health, and then they become active when they haven't been active, which adds. They start eating, the food is not always the healthiest here. They're drinkers, they're smokers, and they just, you just never know what actually will. That's really young, though. Monty Crew, some serious problems. He needs to go back to the US. I agree. And he can use Medicare if he goes back there. Yes. Well, yeah, I think he's still saying that he's not at that point. I don't know what the rule is. I thought Medicare, when you could get Social Security, came with it, but according to him, it's not. Advanced directives, yes. We need to redo some for here. We haven't done anything. Be right back. Oh, her husband has 9. We did not come here to live other expats' life. Get a life. Yeah. We will all die when it's our time. Nothing will stop it. That's true. Steve Jobs could not find a miracle. That's true. Advanced directives, where we have outlined our medical preferences in case we are too sick to make the decision. Yeah. Good morning, Raymond. Yeah, I thought we got off track. So yeah, usually we do our lives in the Philippines Saturday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Because a lot of people have contacted us or they'll leave a comment saying, oh, you're early, you're late, you guys are off. And we didn't realize how many people actually know those days. And we've kept those days for a while. And then beforehand, off during the last year, George is doing his gaming channel. He's spending time with his uncle that was sick, and then his mom or his dad passed, and then his grandmother passed just a few days ago. So he's been hit by one thing or another, and he's been spending time with his grandkid. And so we've been off, or you'll just see me, but I've been mostly doing the lives on Saturday by myself and everything. And so, but yeah. And I wanted to cover the medical because I was sick. A bunch of bile came up, not sick, but bile, just pure yellow acid based on not having a gallbladder. And we had people had got us food. George had bought food, and then I decided, like an idiot, to have ice cream. And George was like, "Yeah, let's have the ice cream." And although it was just, I mean, I don't know, something like that. It's what would be on top of an oversized ice cream cone. Took a couple bites. I was like, "Yeah, this is really rich," and went to sleep. And I shouldn't have ate and laid down right away either. So that's a real thing about waiting. And then in the middle of the night, it just came up on its own. It was real. It was like lava in my nose, in my throat. I'm not sick from a flu. I'm sick because of the acid that got my throat and through. I was at the doctor's yesterday. It was really bad. He said it's all red, and so I've been drinking tea and cough drops because it burns. Probably got a seventh degree burn on my throat. Thanks, George. Just kidding. So with being sick and not feeling good again and the lupus, I said, now time to go through and talk about how I just canceled Medicare. For those that didn't hear it, I did that 2 months ago because probably closer to 12,000 because I've been out of the country for like 6 years almost totally. And so it's just like I haven't used it, have no intention, but the hospital side, due to my disability, I still have a hospital and inpatient in the US, still have oh shit money and ticket money and people I can stay with in the US. I still have some plan, but want to know your guys' plan. And you should, because the older I get, every day I think about how even George, oh my back, oh my neck, oh this is bugging me, and is, different things happen with him too. And now just like, and damn, we're in our early 50s, we said. It was like, some days it does feel like we're in our 80s or 90s, but it just makes you start thinking about life. And, why not cover it in a live stream, something real, and be real about whether you're broke or not, or whether you can deal with it. Or like with Monty Crew, I just talked about his GoFundMe. He owns his house. He's got a 6-year-old daughter. He does his YouTube channel. He doesn't have the money. He's trying to figure, and he's had like 6, 7 things go wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I'd have went back by now. I'm not saying I'm never going back to the US. I'm gonna try to avoid it as much as possible. But hell, I could barely make it through what happened to me 2 days ago in the bathroom. I thought I was gonna choke to death. And I'm like, shit. I was just, I can't see having one of those things would have came up. I'd have been a big ass crybaby and been back in the U.S. living with my friend Sarah. I would have just skipped by going and seeing my friends, or with Ted, probably with Ted. Hi, Ted. And I'd have been living up in there in their house like that, like doing my medical, like, oh, get out. Mm-mm. I just can't, I can't see it. I can't. And that's why I was trying to figure what Monty Crew is holding on to. I mean, I get that he wants to be with his daughter and wife. I get that. When I'm in pain, I'm ready to bitch slap George, these cats. I'm ready to kick those cats, kick the stuff in the house. I get mean sometimes. A lot of my grumpiness on air. Okay, that's just me being grumpy, but I'm not a very good patient. You guys could only imagine. But George gets quiet. I'm the one that verbally I'm okay, okay. And then I just have outbursts. I told him, I said, don't get offended. Whoever's in this house, I'm gonna take it out on him. I said, you ain't special, man. If it was my sister, I'd be doing the same to her. But no, I just don't see how he hung out and did his thing and everything. So now I'm a survivor. Almost didn't survive the other night, man. I would never sell my house in the US, never under any circumstances. Yeah. Yeah, neither me and George have owned the home. The home he was in was a rental. So we were in rentals. With your experience, how much minimal savings should you bring? I really can't say. We came in with close to 100,000. So, but who's to say if that is actually, and we have spent a good portion of that on different things. And some of the medical that I've been dealing with, it was meant for medical, oh shit tickets. We were considering, whether we were going to build something or do a condo, but in the last 5 years, we've really burned through some of that. And we kind of wish we didn't as much. And then there were some issues with family back in the US. There was that initial storm. We had announced that when it happened, there was that major typhoon, or not typhoon, I keep calling it typhoons, hurricanes in Florida. And so we had dealt with some things on that. And so, but I can't say because, but for us, I can tell you, but minimal, I don't know, 15, 20,000. And even then, I think that's not enough for if you run into something medical or these guys that are starting to have kids, but I wouldn't let that hold people back. So I've discussed people that are in, they should have plans, but there's also the other people that things are way worse where they are in the US or in Canada or job wise, life wise, just they need to reset their lives. So, yeah, 10,000 maybe. So there's a lot of broke people. So that, coming up like what we did because George sold a business and we spent a bunch of money in Mexico and we did traveling and all these other things when we have the money. It's, yeah. And let me clarify, that's when we left the United States. We lived in Mexico for 6 months. So, and we just started using it to live on food, rental, coffee, and oatmeal. Yeah. I can't believe that some foreigners have sold everything to move here without knowing how much about. No, a lot of them don't, and a lot of them rely on these channels, and they're going into the ones that just do the dating and saying, "Oh, it's cheap here and that," but they don't discuss the full ins and outs of things, like the full immigration and the medicines and dealing with the things and everyday life. People don't think about just like they would in the U.S. or how they can replace the money. Itchy, itchy. Yeah, calico. I know. Bacon, eggs, and garlic fried rice for breakfast. Oh, yummy. The orange, white, and black cat. What's his name? The original one that is Tweety or we call her TT. One that keeps jumping up on the table. The old orange one. Um, we call her Pig Z because her tail looks like it's a little short and got it's all bent and everything else. So we just call her Pig Pig. And then that's Geo and that's Megan. Two of them are in here that are from the group of kittens, and then the other one, the kitten and mom keep mostly. They will not stay in the house anymore, so they are both fixed and vaccinated and live outside. So two of the four, yeah, because mom there was only three kittens, and then we have Mary. What is going on? What is going on, Harry? My sister has a Sphinx cat. Oh, I want one of those too. If you have the funds in retirement in the Philippines, you can have 24/7 care for. That is true. Yeah, that's another thing is that the care for in-home would be way cheaper to be here. So that is for sure. Okay. Is which airline was that? That's really that. So then the prices have been really dropping. And that's into LAX. Of course, we wouldn't be going there because what is that, 7,000 miles? Like we're in Florida, it'd be like nine. And we would leave out of Tampa. So maybe that's because that's the prices we've been checking. And it probably depends on the airline too. And we would be leaving out of Clark. I wouldn't go to Manila. So it probably change. But yeah, we have a couple thousand right now put away just for that. All of these old expats are afraid to go back, like David Campbell. They may not be able to return to the Philippines. That's another thing. I that's another good point. I didn't know if I covered some of that. They're afraid they can't get back. Yes, because they don't want to live permanently in the U.S. We all leave for a certain reason. I have several reasons why, and the biggest thing for me is um, it is because it's cheaper to live here. I find it to be way more easier going, the people being nice, but some of them are afraid they can't get back in. And I think he's afraid of leaving his daughter and wife, yeah, and not being able to get back or going back and dealing with the US, period, or the hustle and bustle, or they say the rat race or the matrix or whatever's going on. It makes sense. And I'm not the only one that thinks, that has that thinking that, I like it here. So you're a fighter, Heidi. We'll always be praying for you. Thank you. Stay strong. Wish lupus can be. Yeah, well, it can be helped if I watch. It does get better when I don't eat certain foods and salty foods and extra sugar. Like mostly I use like honey and muscavo, or I use the plant-based sugars that aren't the super artificial. And yeah, when I do eat healthier, I feel better, but I tell George it kind of gets upsetting when I do eat healthy for a couple months at a time. I take everything away. There is no real packaged food in the house. Like I've got some brown rice that's in a package, but we don't have, I mean, if we do, we get donuts on the outside, but we don't buy like the box donuts that are in a package that, or the chips, or we have peanuts in the house, but we have the nuts, legumes, and all, but even when I'm eating healthier and I still feel sick and I have a bad day that I can barely get out of bed, it's still upsetting. And that makes just recalculates everything. And it's like, well, why do I even bother? Why don't we just eat McDonald's all the time? Why am I sitting here cooking? And so I get my days where I get really down because I'm just not feeling good. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of rotten. But yeah, you just have your good days and bad days. And I can't go outside without someone asking me for money. It does happen. I was really surprised. I didn't suspect that the guy that was nearby the car where the kitten was would ask George for money because I couldn't understand the guy. He was saying something to me as he was handing the cat, and George started coming outside to chase me because when I heard the cat, I went literally running outside in the rain. And yeah, like 3 people hit him up before he got in the house, and I told him, "Weird part is when you're not here, they don't do that when I'm outside. They used to a lot, but weirdly, they ask George before they'll ask me. Could be me, like I said, overwhelmed by size because I'm a woman, because they think I'm a mean Western woman because of my size, but rarely does anybody around the house ask. When I go out and about, they do. But, even the trash guy's been asking for advances on his money. I told George we'll just give him money. As long as it's the amount for the month, then we'll just go ahead and give it to him, but he only does it when he sees the car. So he'll only ask when George is here or outside, but when I've approached him, he goes the other way, so so yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. These are lemon and honey. So, yeah. Before my mother passed, doctors had her on so many medication, my mom too, so powerful stuff. She would cut the people in half. She did not want to get, yeah, she cut the doses in half, yeah. No, they had me on, let's see, I was already on meloxicam, but it was the other one that they told people to stop taking. It wasn't a muscle relaxer. There were several of them I was on that were bad, but I was just sleeping from it. It just, and then one of the heart medications also made me tired because I was on like 2 of them there. It was just crazy, and then I just out, like, I could barely move on them. Hey, Bookham. He says we all have made our choices, so stop the excuses, get a life, and be prepared. Not ask those who have worked hard to bail your asses for medical bills and a GoFundMe page. George lost it, but I feel his pain. Now, you rarely see him go off like that. That's the most I was like holding on to his hand because it was a weird statement because I heard that statement before in the US. I think they say clots and prayers about Donald Trump. I was like, nobody deserves that shit. I ain't trying to defend him or anything, but he felt that him saying farts and prayers was some sort of joke about it was the wrong time, wrong place, and CBGB has made weird statements before. And so we don't know a whole lot about him, but to say that when George is going through that, he had it. That was it. Then he cussed him out on the spot, told him to go fuck himself. I was like, God damn. You guys only get to see that. And if you do, you really you got it, man. Guys, I'm just reading through these. George is grieving hard and might take time to get through it. Yeah. And like I said, he already admitted that he's just feeling down and depressed and I said, well, God, that's normal. It's temporary. And then I said, but you're going to for long, one after the other like that. And he really loved his dad. So it's beyond grief for him right now. And when I went off on air and he did, we've had our fights the last few months. He's known his dad's been sick and going through things, but he has not related any of it. So then for me, I believe me, I'm still giving him a break. People are like, oh, you should be nice to him no matter what. I am, but there is a limit when he locks you out, spending more time at the family house, and it didn't look right. And so now you guys kind of know. Now I know, and actually we've really been getting along. It's been very eye-opening. Sad that it took all this to, we've always had a good marriage, but we've had really tough times too. Coming here was tough on us, and Mexico was tough. It got down to nitty-gritty. We was doing a lot of traveling and having fun and spending money and, whirlwind relationship in the beginning and love bombing and going through the honeymoon phases, and then we just got down to being in the pandemic and traveling, me adjusting to the Philippines the last couple of years, my health problems and all of this, but we went through it, and you know it's been getting much better. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It took me a year before I could really talk about my father's death. Yeah. Like I said, Phil Health will be good. Once you reach 60, you'll be a lifetime member. Gotcha. Yeah, I know expats can get on there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Hurley. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hey, we can add that to your chicken funds. Why are you so depressed still? Oh, thank you. Oh, it's just so sad. It breaks my heart. Like when George is sick or the cats are sick and that kitten yesterday. My father passed last year. I'm so sorry on that. Forward, not backwards. 88 prostate cancer. Life. Yes. Be positive, not negative. Yeah. My parents are still alive. They'll probably outlive me. One is 72 and my dad is 73. That's close to my dad's age. My dad was, turn that off. My dad was like 28 when I was born. So, yeah, he's older than that. Chosen one's old. Unfortunately, it is. I will answer that. I see the other comments. Technically, it is. Depends, unless it has a direct threat where someone's life is being threatened. You can, in the United States, it is. So nobody stops when any of the other stuff has been said out there. It's now just down to this set of circumstances. What about all the hate speech on all sides for years? Nobody ever did nothing back then. How many times has Jimmy Kimmel and the other one said stuff on other people? Or how about, I just want to go there that it's just not there. But by technicality, it is. It is freedom of speech. So it definitely is. That is absolute. Show me where hate speech is not free speech. For you, maybe, or for the next person, but according to the Constitution, and if you're in court, actually, it is still the right for the person. Actually, should be anywhere. And it depends. I mean, I'm still trying to figure where the hate was, because a lot of people's statements are hate. It's what each individual sees it as. Like George said, you could say one thing to somebody and say, hey, you're brown, and that person could get totally offended and find that to be hate, that they called him a brown person. It's also in the eyes of the person. Classic. I don't think I've seen you before, and we're not. There's no reason to, because our channel has never directly covered just an individual based on a breakup. When we covered Mark Thornton, it was based on the fact he quit his medicine and that he married late and left somebody in illness in the Philippines. Anything, I've said this before, prove that we've only covered something based on just a breakup and there wasn't something to it or a lesson to be learned. There's no reason, and there is no confirmation. That's the first time I've heard that. Have no idea. Unconfirmed. There's, unconfirmed. There have been a lot of people that have asked us, but I don't see. I know he has slowed down on his blogging. I've seen him on Heidi, which is a person that does immigration. She's on her new channel and he appeared on there, but we just won't cover it. I mean, we're going to do that. We'd cover a bunch of other stuff. I did see where Regular Guy did an interview with Jen Thornton in the last month. I thought that was odd. But then again, not odd. He seems to be doing odd content here lately. In Canada, we can leave the country for 6 months before the benefits are suspended. Okay, 6 months. Yeah, I think that's for the UK too. That one guy lost everything, but he'd been gone for years. You can love your country, but not like the things going on. Yeah, like the leadership and the differences of opinions and everything. Right. And everybody has their right. Hate speech for some people is, you have the right on saying that. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. I can't change your mind. I can't sway you. I have the right to say, like me and George try to get as much facts right. In fact, it is part of Constitution. You can't, unless you're putting a threat aside it, then it should be left alone. It's, we get it. You take, they're just words. If somebody threatens your life along with those statements, then that's where it kind of crosses the line, or if you're attacked. But I think right now any of I don't find any either side to have like a straightforward, um it's just not right. Some of the stuff. It is not. Hate speech is not. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on that. You better sit down somewhere. That is your boy. He's like, WTF. We're gonna hit you with some child support. He talks a lot. You know what he said? He says, Daddy. He talks a lot. That's why we said that's chosen one's kid. Oh, poor thing. I have, and I did. I did carnivore. I don't know. I did it for a couple months. I didn't stay long on it, but initially when I started this recent cutting back, I did. I can't because of the gallbladder and because of my lupus. And I did try to do strictly carnivore. It's too much oil and fats. I have no gallbladder. And I really was sicker when I was on that. So I tried, and then I went more to the well, not the Middle Eastern one. It was Mediterranean diet. I almost said Middle Eastern. And in doing that, where I eat more fruits and vegetables and some healthy fats, I do butter and I do some dairies, and but eating it just straight like that was too much. And then I cut out on most sugars. So when I'm not eating my donut, I cut it. There's no bread in the house. We have no pasta in the house, and we have brown rice. So it was too much. I did try that for the autoimmune, most definitely. Social media is controlled worldwide by several of the families. Yeah, and that's part of ABC that was able to let him go. Um, that are connected to the oligarchs who have controlled the narrative for decades. Yeah. That would also go. I have to speak that there are other news stations that also misdirect people too. So not all of them are really innocent in this. But here's the most recent problem I had, and it's going to probably go political and a hashtag cancel Heidi, like George would say. They recently kicked the AP out of the White House. They said they're no longer invited to come into the White House. They've been banned from the White House. And it's just weird because they were one of the neutral ones, I thought, anyways. So I've never seen anything like that where they're no longer letting certain news agencies in. And to me, if they let one in, they should let them all in. And so that was one thing I thought was weird. And all also, in my personal opinion, I'm not saying I'm for Kimmel or against, but also I'm not against Fox either. But that newscaster did say, and I seen it with my own eyes, didn't see it anywhere. I seen him on there that day where he stated that the homeless should be euthanized. I'll just put it in that way. I won't say word for word what he said, but that's bad. He flat out said it. So why didn't they terminate him or have him leave the show? Or why didn't any of that happen? I don't get it. It's like what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. And I know people have used that as an example, but what I'm saying is there's several people that have said things against, but they didn't take care of that. And that's just it. It's just all over the place right now. It is so bipolar in politics and social media and the news. It's crazy. The most common phrase in the Philippines, that's not my son. uh, Everybody does too much. It's important to protect these rights. At least we're prepared to relinquish others. I can't get the clearing of my throat. If you're relying on a minimum pension to survive in the Philippines, don't start a family. Yeah, that's the crazy part. Won't be sufficient to live comfortably in the Philippines. A lot of them have that mentality. Oh, well, that's twice as much as what a Filipino makes. And then their Filipina convinces them that they can. And then they sit out there eating fish and rice with three kids out in the province, bitching about everything. It's weird. The guy you're talking about, he's Canadian. That's Calvin interviewed. Oh, living on that money. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. It was a weird topic. I figured he was running out of some. I mean, we run out of stuff all the time. At least I come on and say, hey, I thought it was an odd topic. Hey, what's going on there? Good morning. I just got in debt today purchasing. Oh, no. Got yourself a Toyota. I need to work overtime while paying college tuition for my son. Oh man. Just do my thing. Yeah, 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 yeah. I paid fully into Social Security and have a pension. I have to notify Social Security that I live in the Philippines. According to their website, yes. Doesn't say please notify us. It says you need to or you have to. I don't have it in front of me right now. It is in going overseas to collect Social Security. Yes, you're supposed to. Yeah. Even if the bank is back in the US. Yeah. Because there's several reasons. There's many, many reasons. So I'm coming to the Philippines to build a secret garden. Yeah, do yoga and travel. Yeah. The Philippines, not photo. Worms. Yeah, worms. God, you guys talking about worms. Yep, life can change fast. Yeah, you can be prepared to have everything in line. That's why I try not to judge people. I try not to. I try to look at both sides, and sometimes my forwardness and just being loud actually comes out. But a lot of people believe both me and George, or it's just oh, you're this and that. No, we actually see both sides, and we're both very sympathetic, empathetic, and we feel all sides. Me and George are some real feely people. Like I said, it's kind of. I think that's why sometimes we get so sensitive with each other. It's like, did you look at me the wrong way? What's wrong with you? We get so sensitive about if we're hurting each other, but we are the meanest people too, I tell you. We actually get down to business too, but no, it's try not to. But me and George also do that. We judge, but yet we're analyzing. And that's what I think helps us with the channel. No, they do. And I do think about that. And even though they get worm pills and the flea pills, and we do like vitamin paste with them, yeah, they're still in the cat box and can still cause issues. So, we're always changing the sheets and the blankets, and we have steamer. We have like a steamer we got a few months ago, and we steam the bed and we steam the couch and their bedding areas. And I wanted to get a steam mop, but I figured I wouldn't use it all the time. I want to get crazy. I got all these gadgets in the house. It can be. That was another part of the live stream I wanted to talk about is it can be, yes. And a lot of people are disqualified, like, oh no, I got whatever. Yeah, you're paying about $600-700 a month. I'm not going to do that. I didn't want to pay the 175 to keep the Medicare, give or take. What is it? Yeah, about 175. Because like I said, I've lost 11,000 and I haven't even used 11 or 12 probably total because it's been 6 years. And I just can't see keeping it anymore with no intention. Yes, there are penalties for reestablishing it. I'm just that sure that I will never go back there and live on a permanent basis. So but the life insurance can be, and even just being overweight can disqualify you. Any pre-existing conditions disqualify you. We did talk to people. Now, if you're doing that travel insurance and you're coming in, a lot of them it'll pay you for a little bit, but these guys are living here for years trying to tell you go ahead and get you some travel insurance. You can't do that either. No, hey, 20-minute movie. Since George is native, will you two ever build a house? No. One, we don't have the funds currently to do what we would want to do. The other is that our kids in the US will never come here and live permanently. And the kids that he has here will be with the family home, and she's already got her life set up. So there'd be nobody to leave it to. And we may only live another 20, 30 years, who knows? But no, building is the furthest thing. We considered one of those condos maybe in the future on Clark, maybe. If additional money comes to us or something, we might consider something like that, but no. There is family property here without building. PhilHealth is bankrupt insurance company. I have senior in the family who tried using it. I call it the 1%. Could be 10%, the ones that have done everything you proclaim and others. Pensions, investment, savings. I'm not sure with you. I'm talking about in general. The ones that are building houses, the ones that still have houses in the US, the ones that have proper money to live a really good life, not a Filipino, starving life. And I'm talking about people are what's considered like in the US, where they own their home that do retirement right. I think we hear here the 1%, 2%, some call it the 7%, 100% under 10% of the expats that show here. So I think if you had like 10 people, probably two of them did something right that arrive here for retirement. Some are escaping from something, some can't afford the US, some looking for a cheaper life and good, people and want to get away from the rat race. Ones that have thoroughly prepared. I just call it 1% of the wealthy. To me, if you still own your home currently at your age, and I mean, like there are people that refinance, and I'm sorry, it just we were in a middle class family, and not a lot of people own their homes right now. My grandmother owned her home, but that was divided up when she died. It's just where it is. So what I'm saying is the ones that own a home in the US that can own something here, afford to live here, have a bunch of savings, have proper insurance, can afford, you know, the higher payments with pre-existing things that had good incomes and just doesn't have just I mean, there's like 40 or 50,000 people living here just on Social Security. So they didn't come with pensions. Or how come people don't talk about they'll talk about, oh, just don't live on that Social Security and just but some guys come here and they live on just their military disabilities that are, X amount. So it's just where it is. 1%. The ones that do it right. Could be 7%, could be 10, could be off. I did mention that. 1% of foreign marriages that last for more than 10 years. Yeah. Well, I think they call the upper rich here the 1%er. So I think I said that because we were talking about that the other day. There's another couple that does a vlog. I think they call themselves the 7%ers. It's on their shirts or something that do retirement right. But it is a very small amount that live in the US that have the proper money. They say you need a couple million saved to get through retirement plus your Social Security amount if you're going to get by and live the right life for retiring at whatever, 62, 63. And that's still a small percentage of people. I'm not saying it's one or seven, but it's not, I don't go by those statistics online for sure. Every expat that I've met here does not have all those things. And it's not because of the circle that we're in. We do hang out with the rich people too. George's family is in the upper crust, and nobody has all of that put together for retirement here in the Philippines or back in the US. So the average, the regular guy. But I'm happy that people do that. It is the right thing to do. And I wish to God that I didn't have circumstances and divorces and medical and the surgeries I needed when I was younger, even with good jobs that I had, that I got wiped out of pensions just like George did. Like we had 401ks, we switched companies, these things disappeared over time. So, but I was not somewhere long enough to collect that pension, but I had 401k that I wiped out for multiple surgeries. There was a corrective surgery. One, I was attempting to have a baby. I've talked about that. And we had to purchase a car one time. One of my husbands went back to school. And so there was all these other different things. It wipes money out. So I can't change that. I can't look back on it. I was not investing. I wish I would have invested in 97 when all the computer stuff was coming up, 96, and the stocks were dirt cheap, but didn't. My Pinoy wife had heart surgery 2 years ago in Canada. Thank God. Yeah, the universal health cost us nothing out of pocket. Oh man, that's great. I think it's crazy to have kids. I get falling in love, but the ones that keep having multi kids, the guys are here 40, 50, 60, and they have multiple kids and start a new life. That just seems so exhausting. Like me and George the other day just collapsed on the couch. We're like, we're just so tired. Like we were just talking about how tired we were. And then I joked about being happy with AC, donuts, and naps. But I could not imagine chasing, or being, even if it is your wife taking care of kids. It's just crazy. I wouldn't want to leave them behind that young. Yeah, no kid wants to say my dad died old age, possibly be picked on. My stepdad died of a heart attack, quadruple bypass, and a stroke. Took care of him 17 years. Doctors only gave him 10 years with the bypass. And that's another thing. I've discussed that with George, that I don't know if I'd want to. I don't know. If they're telling me that I could die in my sleep or have a bypass, that my heart's just going to stop, more than likely, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to go through that. My mom had her chest cracked wide open. It was a horrible recovery. I'm 50 some 54. I've lived a good life. I don't know if I want to go through all that and all that pain so George can have 5 more years with me or 10 more years. It's I don't want to put him I'm already putting him through stuff, just being sick and different things. We don't like, I just can't see it. Honestly, any life preventing surgeries from here for me is not ideal. It's like if I found out that I had full blown cancer, which I already have skin cancer that I deal with on different occasions, removal is that I don't know if I found out that I had like what my mom had, it was leukemia, that I would go through what she did on having the treatments. It's the treatments that kill people. It's just where it is. And I just can't see, I don't know. And if I did, I wouldn't have left the US and stopped medication or know that I need replacement valves or something. Yeah, you must have missed that. Did you leave? No, I'm a permanent resident. I have my permanent residency. I've had it for a while. So I'm a permanent resident, married to George. I applied a long time ago. Already went through my 1 year temporary and then I applied again. Time went by. I've had my card for a while. So I did not leave the country. I got up to my 3 years to determine if I wanted to stay here versus something else. We discussed even going back to Mexico at some point and to see if I was going to be able to deal, hang, or whatever. Permanent resident. Yeah, we went through the whole thing and talked about it. My mom lived to 94, sick type 1 diabetes since 40. The older you get, everything falls apart. You start reverting back to baby. Old age sucks. It really does, let alone add in the complications of surgeries and cancer treatments. Everybody ends up sick and down in the end. It's just a bad time to decide to start a family during all of that. I just couldn't imagine going through all medical conditions and having kids and remarrying at that point. Monty was in bad shape when he originally arrived. Yes, he was. When did he have the stroke? After he got here or before? Yeah, so he already had the stroke. Hey, Be Free, why cancel? If you plan to still go to the US for healthcare if needed. Because I would only go there for a super, super emergency, and even then I'm unsure that I will. So 1% chance I would go back for anything. We're talking it would be almost a miracle before I decided that. So because I've already paid almost 12,000 out and I still have hospital and I still have here it says any inpatient or group home facility. So maybe if I'm going to go turn myself into a nut house, maybe. So I still have that coverage. So I didn't lose it all. I just canceled the other side. So I have some, but I don't know about that. A lot of people discuss that. They discuss their like delays. There's only so many hospitals over there, and getting appointments aren't as easy. And I don't know. It is a plan. We talked about that. We've done live, like a live and a video based on go to Guam for medical and use your medical. But like they said, you might as well go to Hawaii or you might as well go on into the US if you're going to get on the plane. Steve Jobs came to Mexico looking for a natural cure. He refused to get an operation, so he died. Yeah. Yeah, nursing homes. I was trying to. Nursing homes, yeah, 7 to 15. Yeah, it's a fraction. Yeah, it's only about 1,000. Now, I do know that's getting somebody at the house. If you go into some nursing homes that are Western, close to Western style, it could cost you. There are some set for 2 and 3,000 US. There are some fancier ones where the whole facility has got, they've got some nice ones for a couple thousand US, but it's still a fraction of paying 7 to 15 in the US. Yes. Be prepared. I'm just skimming through here, guys, because I'm about to wrap this up, I think. Great comments, though. These comments will be on for the next people to watch. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure on that, Harry. Harry said what Kimmel said was made up outright lie. I know other I know other social media outlets said it was a lie. They've been playing it on the regular news. I thought he had only repeated what had happened, but I don't know. I don't watch everything to keep up on that. So, but I hate to say it, there's a lot of stations and Republicans and Democrats and others that are just outright lying. And that's just it. All these vloggers and podcasters, and whether it's the truth or a lie, I think that also is, I guess it's also free speech, even if it is a lie. It's something that I guess should be taken to court. Or as ABC seen fit, they fired him. So it is where it is, but I think it's still a free speech. So I'm with you on that. The only thing I seen is where people also, they have the same definite opinion. They said that what he said was made up. Yeah, that he was lying when he said it. So the only thing um, I don't know. The only thing I thought he did was repeat what he said. But see, I wouldn't even, it's crazy. Only did 4 years in the Air Force, a civilian for 29. Your personal space ends where mine begins, right? I think right now there's no free speech and everybody's getting offended on both sides. That's where I'm at. Is I've heard different social media say that he's lying. I listened to what he said. I didn't know that he made a lie because he also repeated something in that. And right now I couldn't tell you word for word what he said. But whatever he said, I still feel that everybody's just getting offended. And I'm really surprised. A lot of his stuff is pre-scripted and written by people too. He didn't really ad lib. Them are read off of whatever. So that means there's a ton of other staff involved. That's what's crazy for me. There's others involved in that. He did not just say that off the top of his head. He was reading. Those are all pre-planned with writers and stuff. That's He wasn't even free to say that possibly. All right, guys. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you guys aren't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, and we appreciate you dropping in. And we will be live Tuesday unless something comes up, guys. And let's see. Good night, good night, good night. Your leg strength determines how long you will live. That's why it's important. You're right on that. When I seen that, I wanted to tell people that because with all my medical conditions, your legs are a big sign of your health. And like for me, being I can't stand more than 20, 30 minutes. And like when I'm in the house, sometimes if I stand even 15 or 20, I start to feel it everywhere. And I do have where there are leg circulation issues and everything. And my grandmother had it really, really bad on one side, on the German side of the family. So kind of crazy, but it is. It's the biggest sign of your health. If you got tingling, pain, can't stand, your legs are swelling, circulation, and you can't do certain exercise, yep, pure sign. That's great information. Thank you guys, and I appreciate everybody joining, and I will see you guys soon and talk to you guys later. And have a great, let's see, this rest of the weekend. It is Saturday. I had to think about that. It's been a long week. And thank you guys for everything. And thank you guys for everybody contacting.